Focus? Probably. Well, hello Internet. It's I, the Attorney and King, Paul. You may know me from the infamous He-Man and She-Ra chessboard. You may also know me for the sake of my Masters of the Universe movie storyboards that I'm sure no one is sick of hearing about. And I wanted to do a video, and there was a couple things I wanted to talk about. It's hard for me because I want to do something positive, and there's so much negative. So I'm going to try. And thankfully, I had a suggestion or some motivation from someone that I imagine everyone in the Masters community knows. If you don't know, then you should know. And I was suggested to do this video by James Etalk, who is, I'm just going to say, long and by far one of the best people in the Masters of the Universe community in that world. And I think that's because James is really sort of a modest, simple guy. And I don't think he has any grand agendas or goals that are too big to fathom. Like me, I want to make a $600 million Hollywood movie, and then I want to make 6 more. And even though I know movies don't cost $600 million, you need about $550 million to pay off all the Jew lawyers, and then you can make your movie for about $10 million, and then you can keep the rest just in case, you need to pay for cabs on the way to the marketing office when the movie's done. Anyway, I was looking for something to talk about. Some things recently happened, I guess. I was gonna rant about Star Wars, and maybe I'll make a video about Star Wars. Just recently, just today, the great Tom Cook did a live stream, and I love Tom Cook, and so should you. And I hope that Tom knows that people really appreciate what he does. I really hope so. And anyways, I was suggested by James Etalk, who is creator of the official He-Man YouTube channel back in the day, and a number of other things. You may have seen him for under 30 seconds in a Netflix documentary. And James said that I should talk about the upcoming He-Man TV shows, animated shows that are coming to Netflix, or as I call it, Crapflix. And he said that I should talk about what I hope to see in these upcoming shows. And I love James. I think he knows that I have absolutely no hope in anything coming from Hollywood, and definitely not Netflix or Crapflix, which Obama dumped millions of dollars into studios and other cohorts that are putting out propaganda and social programming and DARPA porn and teaching little kids that they need to be trannies and all kinds of social programming and changing the demographics for the European Union and their white replacement, and basically all the stuff that is no longer blindly organic creativity that you used to have. Like back in the days of Hanna-Barbera Filmation, there was, in the late 70s and early 80s, that was the explosion of creativity. There was like the American Zoetrope with George Lucas and Schmarmy Spielberg and John Milius and Francis Coppola and those guys. And today there's like Adam Sandler and the Banjo Boy, who was the only funny thing he ever did as a sketch comedy 15 years ago, and now it's like he's a multimillionaire and he has to compete with Leonardo DiCaprio on script approval for a movie that you never asked for. So let me talk about hope, okay? And I want to answer this question in respect to James said, what do you hope to happen from these two shows that are coming out? And hope is a word that I think it has a certain meaning. It was used or popularized most recently was actually Star Wars in the 70s, The New Hope. And prior to that, I think the most popular use of the word hope is in the Bible in Corinthians 13:13. I'm sure the Freemasons would have a field day with 13. You know, the 12 pillars and the Master Mason or something, or the 12 disciples and Jesus or something. But in the Bible it says, love, hope, and charity. And then the greatest of these is charity, for no particular reason. And that was 1,000 years before the modern day social welfare programs that make the whole idea of charity anathema. But nonetheless, so there's two shows coming to Netflix about He-Man. There's already a show about She-Ra, and it's not called the Princess of Power, like the Prince of Strength, which is the symbolism of human strength and human power. Not that. It's the princesses of diversity power. And it's probably one of the worst shows out there. And that's a lot, considering that, Obama is married to Michelle, who has a dingling in her dress, and there's all these B-list actors that say they've gone to weird sex parties with Obama where he's into weird gay tranny stuff, and there was that gay prostitute that accidentally killed himself with like a bullet in the back of the head because he was talking about it. But I'm sure it's perfectly normal that there are shows on Netflix like Super Drag with a bunch of trannies running around with like lasers shooting out of their ding-dongs, and shows like Steven Universe where the little 5-year-old boy is being raised by a bunch of trannies. I'm sure that's normal, and I'm going to try to be positive. I'm really going to try. I even brought like R2 with me because he's going to help me stay here. I'll tell you what I'll do. This will help. The Eternian King, I'm sure you needed to know that I was in charge, I'm in charge of the spectrum of the universe of which this is relevant to. I'm going to get my sword. I'm going to get my sword out. I'll hold it like Highlander, maybe? No. You got to hold it like this. You got to say, I have the power! John Irwin is really awesome. I wish he would talk to someone and do something for like the record, if you will. I would love to interview him. I've seen every episode of 1959 Rawhide, which has not been melted. The 7th season of Rawhide is like black to a crisp because somehow the film got melted or something. But I've seen Rawhide, which is quite a fun show, and it's something I recommend to people if you want to see John Irwin being a badass, punching trail boss Gil Favor in the face and falling on his ass and having a knife fight with a native Indian medicine man. I made this sword. I'm rather proud of that. Where was I? So there's two shows coming to Netflix, and the one show they haven't told us anything about. And the other show, they did tell us what it's about. That was the first thing they did. Kevin Smith, who is famous for making degenerate movies about poop and butt and dicks and farts, and he has like a swear counter on the top of the screen that's like F, 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 and and he goes on the Joe Rogan show to smoke dope out of their butthole, and I was doing podcasts before you were doing podcasts, F this, F that, F and this, F and that, just total degeneracy. I remember a couple of years back they said that Jeff Wadlow was going to be making a Masters of the Universe movie, and Jeff Wadlow was the guy who did the Kick-Ass movies, which were all about, like, I don't know, the guys with weird BDSM straps on with, like, dildos and just more fart, burp, dick, ass jokes everywhere. I'm sure you can expect something amazing from those guys. Um, but we know what the show is going to be about because Kevin Smith, who came and bragged at PowerCon, which is run by a guy who says that any day that he stops making money on Masters of the Universe, he's going to shut it down. Just thought I'd point that out. Nonetheless, Kevin Smith came to PowerCon and said that before any scripts have been written or any animation's been done, he said that the show is going to be about, and I'll paraphrase, he said that the show is going to be about girl power because Hillary has a vagina. You know what I'm saying? So, Hillary has a vagina, 2016. I have a whole long rant about that, just so you know. You can watch that video. You have no idea how hard it is for me to be positive. Nonetheless, they said that the show is basically going to be He-Man, who's a toxic white male. That's presuming that he's not just going to be black He-Man, you know, or black trans, non-binary, disabled Muslim He-Man. That could happen. That could be what the second show's all about because they're not telling us what it's about, which means they're probably embarrassed about what it's about and what the agenda is. Nonetheless, the show that Kevin Smith is attached to, he said that He-Man, who's a useless white male, forgets his house keys, I mean his power sword, just loses his power sword, and Teela finds the power sword. I guess He-Man and Skeletor will just fight each other like a bunch of dumb males, and then Teela will get the power sword, and she'll just be 1,000,000 times more powerful than any male that ever had a sword. Or something. So I'm sure that'll be a barrel of laughs. Fun for all. And it'll be decades before the name of Masters of the Universe will be worth something ever again. Which is what worries me. Or they could just call me up and I'll show them what my storyboards look like. And we'll start work on the best movies ever made. And I'd also like to say, I'm not trying to be selfish. I hope people understand, I've tried to be clear about this. My storyboards that are never going to get greenlit in Hollywood, my storyboards are open source. Okay? I believe that it's going to take the work of people working together, human strength and human power, that's the symbolism of Masters of the Universe. I keep talking about my storyboards because I want people to engage with me. Because I certainly don't think I created Masters of the Universe. It's just a really good story because I understand storytelling. I've studied history, I've studied Hollywood, I've studied mythology going back thousands of years before written language. Anyway. So that show's going to suck. And in the second show, which is probably going to be worse because they're not telling us anything about it, the second show, all I can do is refer to something that I wrote down a while back. I'll pull it up on the computer here. I've often been on a rant about what I think Hellyweird is going to do with a He-Man movie or a He-Man show if they get their hands on it. And it's going to go something like this. So the movie will begin on Earth. Not because that's where Marlena is from or any kind of continuity from the original show, but because they have an agenda that applies to Earth. And so in this story, Adam, who'll be a black, trans, disabled, non-binary Muslim, some kind of SJW power, he'll probably be played by somebody that you can't stand to look at on the screen, that you're sick and tired of, and some elite person. I couldn't even guess. Maybe Leonardo DiCaprio is arguing for that role right now. Anyway, so Adam and his sister, Adora, will be basically UN or European Union volunteers, and they'll be aiding in saving refugees or helping poor Mexican DACA kids get across the Mexican border, something like that. And Adam, who will be from Earth, right, like I said, not because of his mother, just because of some complete other continuity that has nothing to do with anything. And Adam will be met by a galactic being by the name of Om. Now, Om will be voiced by Morgan Freeman, who's the standard black guy who talks down to all the white guys all the time. That's the same role he's been playing his entire career. So Morgan Freeman, playing the voice of Om, will show up and tell Adam that on a distant planet called Eternia, they are suffering from extreme climate change. Extreme climate change. I'm reading here. And the climate change is probably brought about by like a freeze ray from Skeletor. And Om will tell Adam that he can be magically transported to Eternia to help with the impending doom of climate change. And so Adam will go to Eternia, and there he'll meet the sorceress, who will probably be played by Jessica Chastain. She's owed a lot of roles because of all of her CIA propaganda. And she will offer him a power sword. And the power sword will only be able to be used by way of some biotech. So Man-at-Arms, who'll be played by Dwayne The Rock, he will he'll help Adam by inserting a microchip into the back of his head or into his hand, so that he can activate the power sword. And that will turn him into He-Man, which again, that'll probably be played by Leonardo DiCaprio or Matt Damon or whoever pays more for script approval. And then He-Man, he will join Teela. She'll probably be played by Zoe Saldana. And because they'll have to have like a white male and a black girlfriend. That's standard now in Hollywood. And Teela will probably, she'll be into some kind of transhuman thing. I mean, it's hard to suggest that there'll be a male and a female because boys and girls are binary and everything's supposed to be non-binary now. So maybe she'll be a trans, who knows. And but I imagine she'll have a vagina because Hillary Clinton has a vagina. So I'm not too sure about that. Nonetheless, they could just have gay He-Man anyway. So presuming that Teela is a woman, she'll be able to kick way more ass than He-Man. We already know that. And she probably won't even need a sword to do it. And anyways, they'll go to Snake Mountain. They'll probably have some kind of mild pillow fight with Beastman and Trapjaw, who'll be played by Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller. And they'll make a bunch of childish slapdown jokes and empty promises like, oh, I'll get you, I'll get you, I'll get you. And there'll be a bunch of video game points on the top of the screen. And He-Man and Skeletor will probably fight like children and not kill each other right away because they'll want to make 10 more movies, so they won't kill each other, even though they'll act like they're going to kill each other. Even though never before in the Filmation show did they ever use the word kill because they were trying to make a positive show for kids. Anyway, at the end of the credits, there'll be a bunch of Chinese CG animator names, and China will be the most important market, so the movie might even get reshot 5 times just to make sure that it'll play in China, because if China won't play it in their market, then Hollywood won't make it. It's not that China runs Hollywood, just so you know. And there'll probably be some music in it from like Taylor Swift or Lady Gaga or some 90s screaming boy band or something. Wow. And then there'll be 5 more reboots with no continuity within the reboots, let alone continuity of the original show, something like that. I'm sorry, I'm really trying to be positive. It's so hard. But James asked me where my hope was with these shows. So my hope is kind of like the ultimate black pill. The kind of black pill that's so big that it's crushing. It sucks the air out of the room. The kind of, like, usually you get these sort of mild black pills that make you want to give up, that make you think the world is coming to an end and everything's terrible. But if you were to get the kind of black pill that makes you think that it's so bad that people will they'll all cancel their Netflix, they'll cancel their Disney Plus, they'll cancel everything, they'll unplug the TV, and they'll just go out in the yard and play with sticks. That's the way my dad used to get entertained back in the day. My grandpa used to say there was no entertainment, you just had to work all day. My grandpa was a hard worker. I've learned nothing from him. And anyway, I think the hope will lie in the fact that sooner or later people are going to come together and they're going to work on things in a positive way, and they're going to understand that if you wait around for a bunch of billionaire, millionaire, trillionaires to do everything for you and to give you all this propaganda and social programming and DARPA porn and thug life gangster stuff, like every fifth movie is a gangster movie. It's literally commercials for corporate prison companies. They're advertising the empty vacancies in the prison. Okay? I'm just letting you know. But the hope lies in the failure. If they do such a bad job, like this, I was going to rant about Star Wars. Star Wars recently, it was so bad, there's videos coming out of people walking out of the theater and yelling at the screen. Like, people are going into Star Wars and they're just like, Epstein didn't kill himself. So my hope lies in these shows being so bad that they're going to say, hey, you know what? Why don't we go make that Return of Faker that James was trying to do, or why don't we talk to the Attorney and King and see what he thinks about making a really awesome movie that I storyboarded a long time ago. And if my movies got made, they'd probably be about an hour and a half long, the way that I storyboarded them. And that's because I've always figured that if people contributed to the idea, then we could make a 2-hour long, 2.5 hour long movie. I just storyboarded the basic structure, the basic bones. And I have zero hope of that ever happening. Zero. I think James knew that I'm just like, I'm hanging by a rope trying to think of hope. Love, hope, and charity. It's not the human formula, James. James has probably already turned this video off by now. The formula for human beings is love and comfort gives you happiness and pleasure. Okay? That's the human formula. I don't care how you dice it. And the rules would be like, you don't interfere with other people's pursuits of love and comfort. And at best, you need to teach and to guide and to strengthen and to empower yourself as well as you empower everyone else. That's how you be a master of the universe. That's how you do it. Like, you got to make everybody look good. You got to do what's right, and you got to wear a pink shirt. That's that's important. What else have I got here? This is hard to pick up. I got my hammer. I like to brag about my hammer. I don't know if you can read that. Let's see if you can read that. Try and turn it. Okay, like this. No, you can't even read it. It says, and it starts right there. I don't know why it starts there, but it says, he who wields this hammer commands the lightning and the storm. That's some Elder Runic language right there, which I had to figure out how to translate that, but it's actually so close English that it's really fancy to look into how the English language was created and how the Templar Knights used it as a code, because some of that Norse language was written in different ways, so you could add little dots and lines and things for code. And the Templar Knights, man, the Temple of Man, like He-Man. And He-Man had the red cross, that pleasing geometric cross. I like to say this once in a while, and there's hope in this. There's ethos in this. Okay? In life, you need to balance logos and pathos under eros to avoid chaos. Is there hope for the future? I don't know. Most people don't even know what those words mean. Logos sort of means logic. It also is the masculine. Pathos tends to mean the emotional path that guides you. Logic doesn't guide you. Logic is straightforward. It's a platform. The path in life tends to be emotional, and that's more the feminine. Anyways, people haven't been concerned with proper ethos since the Greco-Latin philosophers of 1,000 years ago. But if you can find hope in the future, I would say that the most crucial factor is the drop in average intelligence. People are getting dumber. They say it's been about a 9-point IQ drop in about 6 or 7 years or 10 years, I think the study, if I recall, and I imagine there's an exponential drop because not only are people too comfortable to use their brain, to struggle and improve upon their brain, their ability to retain and recall and reuse the knowledge of which they have in their brain, but also the truth-based knowledge in your brain. What is fact is difficult, and there's a whole lot of poison in the food and the water, and people are getting legitimately stupid. And they're also giving like steroids to pregnant women, which is causing autism across the spectrum. That's really bad. Isn't that right, R2? Yeah. R2 doesn't talk to me very much. He's all like, you know, what can I say? So, yay! I'm so negative about what's coming out of television these days that I don't have nice things to say. So like I just want to apologize because James said that I should talk about the upcoming Masters of the Universe shows, and I'm just trying not to clock a swear counter at the top of the screen like Kevin Smith does, where it's just like, "Hi F, how are you F? What's your thing F? What's going on F?" And it's just like counting up on the top of the screen like a video game. And I'm like, who on earth would put that guy in charge of anything? And I assume he's not really in charge of anything because, as I've said before, there are people who contribute millions of dollars to the studios at Netflix. Believe me, Kevin Smith is not in charge. He's just a professional promo bot who just says that he loves everything. He's like, "Have you seen the new Supergirl show? I love it." Yeah, and the Nexium sex cult that comes with it. "Have you seen the new Star Wars movie? I love it." And people are walking out of the theater. If you love every single show and you have no critical thinking, then you're just a bot. And I'm sorry, but my money is not on that guy. And if he were open source, if I saw Kevin Smith going out there engaging with me or anyone and saying, "Hey, who'd like to talk about proper storytelling and mythology and the meaning and message and value, and who'd like to talk about the favorite things from their old favorite shows, you grew up with Masters of the Universe, what's your favorite thing? Who'd like to engage on this, and let's take time and make sure we get it right." And no one in Hollywood is doing that. The Hollywood from the San Paulo tree, it's like, it's good for burning for like incense or something. It's like a witch's brew or something. I know, I'm ranting. Oh boy. I had no ending. I had no ending for this. Maybe I can sing or something. What should I sing? He-Man, dun 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 dun, He-Man. I like singing. It's good, Sing, sing a song, sing the whole night long. It don't matter if you're not good enough for anyone else to hear. Sing, sing a song. Thank you. So for those of you who haven't turned off yet, you have the power. And the strength too. And good day to you all. The Eternian King says goodbye.